Nothing says racketeering like the burying of evidence. And that is exactly what the Biden administration is going to do with the cooperation of an equally corrupt Merrick Garland. They have come up with a novel legal theory that relieves them from having to cooperate with Congress. They plan on opening investigations by the DOJ so that they can deny all requests and subpoenas under the guise of ongoing investigations. This is going to be an interesting one. Let's get into it. Hey, everybody. Welcome to the channel where we are the antidote to the daily onslaught of radical woke Marxist propaganda. Okay, so, I guess we can throw transparency out the window, right? It's pretty bad when the Department of Justice that is funded by the House of Representatives says, go to hell on your oversight. We're not talking to you. So, just like the way FBI Director Chris Wray says under testimony before Congress that he can't answer a question because there's an ongoing investigation, and they keep that investigation ongoing so that he can say, I can't answer your question because there's an ongoing investigation. You get it? It now looks like Merrick Garland's Department of Justice is going to do the same thing for the administration. Isn't that great? Carlos Uriarte, the DOJ's legislative affairs chief, wrote in a 5-page letter, quote, consistent with longstanding policy and practice, any oversight request must be weighed against the department's interests in protecting the integrity of its work. I can hear Chris Wray in there, can't you? He continues, longstanding department policy prevents us from confirming or denying the existence of pending investigations in response to congressional requests or providing non-public information about our investigations. In other words, they will forward any useless information or propaganda, but if you want evidence, you can kiss my ass. Now, I know the lefties right now are saying, but Trump. Trump's DOJ never did that. Neither Jeff Sessions nor Bill Barr ever told the Congress to go to hell and created a system where they weren't going to respond to anything, and we're going to hide behind this BS. Now, Politico wrote, the letter addressed to Judiciary Committee Chair Jim Jordan acknowledges the GOP's multiple requests for information during the last Congress, but doesn't divulge any new information. Instead, Uriarte outlines how he hopes DOJ could be a productive relationship with Republicans in the new Congress if you just stop asking us for stuff. He goes on, as Jordan had in previous letters accused the DOJ of stonewalling their requests, raised the possibility of a subpoena, and said the committee could resort to compulsory practices to obtain the requested information and documents. Remember, folks, that was Politico. They go on, quote, it's an early marker of DOJ's position as Republicans pledge to probe President Joe Biden's administration over a laundry list of issues, including with a select subpanel that has a broad mandate to investigate the federal government. Conservatives have hinted they would use that panel to try to look into certain ongoing law enforcement investigations, folks. The fact of the matter is the Republicans didn't create this. The Biden administration did. For example, Alejandro Mayorkas should be run out of D.C. on a rail for what he's done or lack of what he's done on our immigration policies at the southern border. I mean, he should be impeached and removed from office. And so should the next guy who replaces him, because we know that the Biden administration will just put in someone equally incompetent or negligent. And PJ Media, as usual, has pointed out the elephant in the room, writing, who's in charge of these investigations anyway? Shouldn't Congress decide who testifies? Shouldn't Congress decide the committee's current priorities? It's a clever tactic, but it also reveals what Republicans are up against as their investigations get underway. The Biden Justice Department is going to play the long game and look to run out the clock on Republican investigations. That's what I keep saying. And they're going to drag their heels on every request for information from Republicans. The Republicans, folks, they should resort to compulsory practices, especially after what the January 6th committee did to Steve Bannon for not responding to a subpoena because of the executive privilege he was under from former President Donald Trump. Now, they knew that his lawyers were negotiating with the DOJ's lawyers, but the Democrats on that phony committee wanted a head on a platter, and so they had him arrested and charged in a kangaroo court in D.C. The Republicans shouldn't fall for this and drag this stuff out through the courts for the next 2 years. They got to nip this in the bud in the beginning and let them know you don't get away with that kind of crap, because that would be a total waste of 2 years. They would need to file lawsuits and outside of D.C. if that's at all possible. Republicans can't get an honest court or an honest jury inside the Beltway. We've learned that with the Spygate hearings and trials. Michael Sussman and Igor Danchenko in the Spygate saga were both found not guilty by their juries when they were dead to rights guilty. You can't get an honest jury in Washington, D.C. when the Republicans are involved. So my advice is to hold them in contempt of Congress and file charges to put criminal referrals. Now, think about it. They're in charge of criminal referrals. So are they going to ignore them? They probably will. It's going to be a hell of 2 years, folks. Okay, check out our links, join our newsletter, and thanks for being with us. We'll see you in the next one.